The Passing Lab is brought to you by our partner, Modern Football Technology, and their quarterback development platform. The same tool trusted by NFL coaches like Rob Everett of the Miami Dolphins, former UFL, XFL offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach AJ Smith, and creator of the R4 system, Dub Maddox. It's helping coaches make smarter decisions and build better quarterbacks rep by rep. If you're still choosing your quarterback based on gut feeling or raw stats, it's time to evolve. Modern Football Technology's quarterback development platform gives coaches real-time data from every rep, tracking timing, accuracy, and decision-making, and tying it all back to specific concepts and situations in your play data. It doesn't show you who performed, it shows you why, where they're improving, and what to coach next. That's why coaches like Rob Everett, AJ Smith, and Dub Maddox are using it to develop their quarterbacks with clarity and confidence. Modern Football Technology. Clarity for coaches, confidence for quarterbacks. Learn more at modernfootball.com.
We call it a clear out. We're in the boundary. We try to get that slot. We put a cone at 15 yards deep and 2 yards of practice and tell him to get to that sun gun as fast as you can get there. And when you get to 10, start looking. We want you to be 3 to 5 yards inside the safety. So when our quarterback drops, it's truly like overts now. So we drop out, we're going to look at, if it's too high, we're going to look at that safety. If he stays square to kind of leaning on the clear out, then we know we got the one-on-one outside.
Josh, this has been a tremendous season of Passing Lab, and you have another great one here with Herbert Davis, who's a head coach at Madison Ridgeland in Mississippi, a multiple-time state champion. What do we have to look forward to in this episode?
Yeah, Coach Davis is just a Mississippi legend, has just done an unbelievable job at Madison Ridgeland and in other places he's been, has always been kind of at the forefront on the cutting edge of throwing the football in the Southeast. And he's just a guy that there's a lot you can learn, not just passing the ball when you talk to him, but about culture and program building. He brings a lot of wisdom to the table and a lot of experience.
Let's take a listen to this Passing Lab with Herbert Davis, head coach, Madison Ridgeland.
I want to welcome everybody to another episode of the Passing Lab. Man, we've got a good one today. I've got Herbert Davis, who's the head coach at Madison Ridgeland Academy, who has won championships and is a contender every single year, but has a huge schedule this year. And man, they do a great job of throwing the football and in just a lot of aspects of their program. So just super excited to have you on, Coach.
It's an honor to be on.
Yeah, glad to have you. So let's jump right in and just people that don't know you outside the state of Mississippi. By the way, you're our first Mississippi guest. Congrats out there if you've made it on here now. Tell these people a little bit about yourself, just quickly on your journey, what your past game influences and kind of who you've stolen from or researched and taken ideas and kind of what you guys are doing at MRA today. Kind of how did you get there?
Yeah, my first 10 years, I was double slot, speed, sweep, dive, trap, counter. And then I moved to another little school and we weren't very good. And on year 2, I said, man, we need to do something to give ourselves a chance. We were going to go to the spread. And at the time, Drew Brees was at Purdue and Hal Mummy was at Kentucky. And when I went up and spent 3 days at each place, and obviously connected with Hal and those guys through the years. Matter of fact, saw Tony Franklin Monday. We played at Louisiana Tech 7-on-7. So we've probably for a while, I was air raidish, for probably forever, but really not truly all into it. Really like kind of just a generic quick spread game, but have gone through some air raid stuff through the years. But really the last few years, we've pretty much gone to the Baylor offense. We've been doing it, I guess, since 2018. When I came here, we made the championship for 14, 15, 16. And 17, we didn't make the championship. Of course, we was getting the heck beat out. Prep was on a 7-in-a-row run. And we just figured out, we went back and looked, man, we just needed to score more points. So, and I felt like we needed to do something with our culture. And so, in trying to find a better culture, I also found some guys that ran some Baylor stuff. And man, it's we got into that, and we really hadn't looked back since then. It's been great. So that's who we are. We're kind of a vertical choice team with a underneath air raid mesh, Y cross, Y corner, that kind of stuff. So that's who we are with tempo, snap it. I think we looked at it the other day. We broke down our top 8 games the last 2 years. We averaged 73 plays per game. So we like to snap it fast. We really believe it's given us a great advantage at times.
Yeah, that's, I think combining the different elements is something that's just really where the game is right now. It's less and less just to define this is our system, 100% we run this, and people are taking things that are best for their program from different systems, just like you're talking about, the Baylor, but then you've also got the air raid influence. I mean, I think that's where the guys that are the most cutting edge, that's kind of where they're at.
I get the vertical air raid stuff. And look, a guy that I actually saw, he's actually the O-line coach at Baylor right now, but he's coached in both offenses, the vertical choice, and then of course the true, air raid verticals. And I agree with him. He agrees that he likes the choice better because the ball can come out quicker. So anyway, we like that, and we like it because it gives us multiple choices. Obviously, like I told you, if we can get our kids to make the right choices, it makes me a lot better play caller.
No doubt. No doubt.
So how many times have you been worried about, man, do we take a shot or do we not take a shot? And now with choice, hey, you take the shot when they give it to you, and if they don't, you curl it up.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Moving around sort of system wise and making these new decisions, you already touched on this a little bit, but y'all's consistency has been, it's pretty staggering. And what do you think keys are passing game wise to you guys keeping that consistency over the years? Is it sort of like these are certain skills that we are going to develop that are ingrained in what we are at MRA, and it's just going to keep passed down? And then if we change scheme, we change scheme. But this is kind of the bedrock of who we are. Is it, is it tied into the culture offensively? How are you able to just maintain the consistency that you guys have?
I think number one, we put a lot of time in making sure our young quarterbacks come through the system. And we get those guys ready because you can't do this unless you got a quarterback. So we've done that. At the same time, we do it at our junior high level. Our guys run this. We actually, on a smaller scale, our base plays, our guys are going to run choice. They're going to run mesh. They're going to run spacing and Mars, as we call it. They're going to run the RPOs. So they come up having, we actually 7-on-7 our junior high today and our ninth grade quarterback, with our third team, went down and played them. Our junior high quarterback just lit us up. Good to see. So we do that. And then, we got a great strength and conditioning guy, George Adam. He's a Georgia boy, by the way. And of course, who doesn't? But for us, it's got to be a prerogative to try to, to really train so we can have linear speed. And so he does a good job of that, getting our guys. I like to joke around a little bit, like for a bunch of white skinned folks, we run pretty good. And so, but it comes down to technique too. It comes down to technique. We've had some of our slowest receivers, some be our best guys because they made the best decision and had the best technique. And that's kind of what we've been hammering with our guys all summer. We felt like we didn't get that done last year fundamentally.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Since you do have the continuity, a lot of guys that are listening, they are moving around, you're changing, you're going from program to program. You've had a lot of continuity there with your scheme. So you touched on this when you talked about, okay, we just needed something different and we needed a culture change. But now that you've been there a while, you kind of know your kids, you know your developmental system, and you can kind of see even like your junior high guys coming down, the pipe. Like, how do you decide we need to add something, we need to take something away offensively as you're evaluating your passing game from year to year?
Yeah, of course, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag for some people did, but me and you've been talking and Caleb, and so we're adding some new stuff this year that's going to be really help us. But we kind of stayed in the Baylor system honestly for a few years, and we just said, we got to get better at our intermediate stuff, and we kind of made a change back to the mesh and the spacing and the things like that, and then and then we've kind of been on that train for a little while. And then last year we started doing some more condensed stuff because I just feel like you got to have some of that to mix it up to, because look, sometimes they just better than you over there. So you got to be able to create some separation somehow. And so we've kind of sold into having some packages and taking our normal concepts and putting them in our basic concept, and tagging some tags off of our basic concept, especially Y cross. And so that's been really good for us. And then we've kind of trying this year to take that to another level, actually. But, it's how people are playing. Number one, heck, we started getting more drop eight when we throw the ball well. And so, obviously need to run football. But there's times like last year when we struggled and couldn't run the ball like we needed to. So you got to find a way. So that's kind of our thoughts.
Yeah, it's good stuff. When you guys, when you went to the Brawls, you went full wide splits as well. So you were stretching it sideline to sideline and had the really big splits.
We've condensed it. We've come in a little bit and we'll come all the way now. So we can give you all three.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Try to mix it up to where We're just not trying to get out wide to run RPOs to put the apex defender in a problem. We try to run some vertical stuff off of that as well as some screens and things like that.
I've talked to more and more guys who are from that world, and they make that same comment of, okay, well, we want to run mesh, let's say, for just like people do generically against man, but all of a sudden the splits are super reduced. And it's like, okay, we don't have anything else in the system that where we have those splits. So by having the split differentiation, you develop little packages, and man, it's so hard on a defense now all of a sudden when you're super tight, super wide, and everything in between. I just think talking to DCs, I think that's really tough on a defense for sure.
Yeah. And we try to be 11 personnel too. So, for us, we're in 11 personnel, and all of a sudden we're in empty. So that guy's a flex kind of guy for us. And I think with the tempo and being 11 personnel, all of a sudden, bam, you got boundary bunch, and then boom, you're back in a tight end set, and then boom, you're back to empty, and boom, you're back to wide doubles. And so just talking to some guys, we actually hired a guy about 3 or 4 years ago that played against him. He said that was so tough, just not understanding we're going to have a tight end set, we're going to be an empty, is it going to be into the boundary with tight end, So yeah, we like that. If I had my real world, I could get me 2 big stud tight ends to be 12 personnel and really be in high heaven.
Amen.
But 11's pretty good too. So
first of all, you were talking about when you start talking Drew Brees and Joe Tiller, and you start talking about Hal Mummy, like that's in my wheelhouse because I was extremely young at the time. Matter of fact, I was in high school when some of that was going on, but like that was cutting edge at the time.
Yeah, they were the first spread team in the Big Ten and was kicking tail.
And then you go like 2018-ish, you start with Brow stuff. And Coach, in 2018, you could get killed for talking about Brow stuff like that. You could end up in a river somewhere. So that's
and it's kind of been that way till probably the last year or so, because I think everybody's on to it now. I think everybody in South Texas runs choice pretty much. But yeah, it's kind of been hush, but I think folks have kind of figured it out a little bit. So
no doubt. It's pretty widespread in Georgia now too. So that leads me to that question, since you've kind of been an insider for a while on it. Now you're starting to see guys do it differently and put their own spin on it than original traditional kind of way of doing it. So there's a whole bunch of, how far this can go in the different ways that people do this, but y'all's style, are you more slot choice? Are you more outside choice? Or do you really, fundamentally you're going to work both those and you're going to do them both a lot?
We're going to work both a lot and be ready for whatever they give us. You know what I'm saying? I will say the slot choice, we have not done as much. We used to like it versus one high so much better. But nobody plays as one high anymore.
Right.
And so now we work really, really hard on trying to get that guy, hey, we really want the post, son. If we can get the post, unless he's high and inside on you, we'll curl. Yeah. But if he's head up to outside and got some depth on us, we're banging the post in there. And so once we've kind of done it that way, it's gotten better. And plus teaching our quarterback, hey, we get a lot of match quarters sometime in our league. So if we get matched up and the guy's on the hip of that guy, we've got a safety over the top. That's a pretty tough throw. We cancel that out and just go out to the curl outside. And another thing we've tried to do, because, when people mix it up on you, we try to as much get a check in the flats with our back. So, some people are kind of, if you don't like what you like, you got a curl flat out there. So
right. Yeah. That's something you're seeing more and more people do, is they realize, okay, now that people are kind of figuring this out, they can bait us into certain things. So let's have a check down. Let's have something else we can.
No doubt about it. Check down is something we've been really good. That's something we've done well. Is I think over the last 3 years, our backs in general have caught over 50 balls a year. So getting the back out on the route and check downs has been good for us.
When you're running outside choice with your inside guy, now the school of thought is kind of changing on this, but the original, where this is truly an occupier barrier route, we're going to fall off a cliff and we're going to try and get the safety to drive on this so we can truly isolate the outside guy. Are you guys more live now, like some people are doing? Or are you truly, hey, we're going to
never bought into that? I never could. My background, I coached 3 years of college and I coached DBs and linebacker. I never bought into that, because I was like, if I'm playing a deep half safety right here and I'm throwing a bender, they're going to say the heck with that. And we end up running a post outside, it's dead in the water. And so I love double posts as a concept. So we actually started out as double post. And what we got to realize that after about year 3 is when you're in the boundary running that, good safety can really, by the time you get to the top of your drop at 10, good safety can really be over the top of both of those. So what we've changed to was what we call it a clear out. And so we're in the boundary. We try to get that slot. We put a cone at 15 yards deep and 2 yards of practice and tell him to get to that sun gun as fast as you can get there. And when you get to 10, start looking. And to the field, sometimes with the splits varying, we tell him, hey, look, if it's too high, we want you to be 3 to 5 yards inside the safety. So when our quarterback drops, it's truly like old verts now. So we drop back, we're going to look at, if it's too high, we're going to look at that safety. And if he's going to cheat off the hash, we're going to throw the clear out. And if he stays square to kind of leaning on the clear out, then we know we got the one-on-one outside. We were going to do the post curl because we call it a win post. 10-5, if you win, run it, we just feel like we did it this spring. As a matter of fact, we went back to the curl. We just felt like sometimes if you don't get back to it fast enough, it's a tough throw. But other than that, we're really air raid. We actually went back to the true go and out into the boundary with the cross and curl flare to the boundary. The one thing that we're doing really good with it, I think, is when we run cross, it comes from the field. When we run over, it comes from the boundary. And so anytime we tag anything on cross, it's a boundary tag. Anything tag on over is to the field. So that's the front side of the concept, of course.
Gotcha.
So we tag stuff like comeback and smash concepts. It'd be the old school smash. We call it void. That hits corner. Or true, if you're thinking you're going to get some man free, we can tag true slot fade smash. We can tag a 10-yard out. And Mummy and those guys kind of got into that deal a good bit. And then obviously we're starting to get into some of this underneath option route choice, NFL choice stuff. And that is my favorite thing to do off of it with the goof concept. So that's been a tremendous deal for us right there. Now we can obviously run those same concepts with another tag over there, but we really love it off our cross.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I think always for us, the idea of like you can take that because of how multiple it is, and you can really teach a kid to play quarterback just with that concept early on in a spring or in an install.
To me, if you want to hit the cross, you leave it like the old cross. Hey, can you hit the go? Good, get it to, but not, we're coming off that thing fast. Or maybe you got the slot fade coming off of it fast. Because we weren't doing that at first. We were trying to do all the tags, and I was mad at what throwing the cross, but heck, it was my fault. And so now we went back to the O, and now we're coming off of it fast, and we're getting back all the way to the curl more now. But there's times when we do want to have those option routes or comebacks or whatever we want to throw over there, and we're okay with that, but it gives us an out. If it turns out not to be good, we got it coming right back to us, so swipe reads, as I call them.
Right.
Left to right, right to left.
Yeah, that's really good. When I always thought that in a lot of ways that the Briles cross, the Chip Kelly cross, it's really the way they read it out, and you're not really caring as much about the front side because, like you said, you got to get off that fast or you're going to be late on, the post and curl read. It's really double post with a bailout is what it is. You're really getting double post, and then you got the opportunity to curl if they take it away, based on coverage. But I think if you're going to do a swipe read, I think you're all over it. You got to have Y cross as your backside, and you've always got something to work with.
That's been good for us. And really this summer so far in 3-7-on-7, that's been a great play for us.
Yeah, that's so good.
We've even run choice into the boundary. So you got your vertical choice, and then you got your clear out. So you clearing that safety out.
Yeah.
So if somebody cuts your curl out there per se, or we don't win on it and they cut the curl, you still got that cross coming back. So you just got to get the clear out of the dang way. So
your curl aspect of the DC, are you coming straight back down the stem and running back down the stem, or traditional curling?
We traditional curl comes straight back to quarterback. Now what we work on is we tell them, hey, if you're to the field, it's always a curl. You got a wrap in there. Sometimes that thing will look like a mini dig. But into the boundary, we'll work really, really hard on when you sit it down, you snapping your head around and finding the curl player and, where he's at. So obviously, where his vicinity is, we have the opportunity to wrap or kind of work back to the sideline like a mini comeback.
Gotcha.
That's been really good for it because it kind of gets a little cloudy over there in the boundary. So we probably call it way more working back to the boundary we have wrapping inside into the boundary, to be honest with you.
Yeah. You mentioned drop 8, and everybody that can throw the ball is dealing with that. I know we went a couple years ago where I think we saw some form of drop 8, and it was like out of 13 games, it was like 12 of them, somebody dropped 8 at least once. Are you having any issues with the wide splits and a guy just truly slicing underneath to try and get underneath a DC? Or is what you're talking about, does that really kind of help take care of that by enabling him to curl in the grass when you get that slicing flat player?
Yeah, and like I say, when you do that, you got to get some kind of relief out there like a flat player with your back checking the flat and to try to help it out. So yeah, and especially, hey, same way if they're rolling and bailing the cover three and doing the same thing,
Yeah.
So now you got basically what, 5 underneath defenders,
Right.
and they're still dropping 8, but it's cover 3. They're bailing on you, they're making you curl, but you got 5 underneath defenders. So yeah, you got to try to create some kind of curl flat, curl shallow, something coming back across the field somewhere in there.
Choice Hotels gets you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. Like these road trippers making waffles and eating fresh fruit in their natural habitat, the breakfast area at a Comfort Inn. I just love seeing a vacation maximized in the wild. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
You had mentioned your Mars concept, your spacing concept earlier, and spacing's super controversial. We've had guests that absolutely despise it. We have guests that think it's the greatest thing ever. What are you guys doing? I think you do some unique stuff. What are you doing with space?
I think the unique thing about us, and for whatever reason, I did this in 2000 and did it all the way to about 2016, kind of got away from it. And then we came back and run the traditional OTB in the middle, with the curl flats on with the back flaring, the curl flats on both sides. And it just didn't time up right for us. Now, if we're in condensed splits, we still run the OTB.
Gotcha.
So it times up good. But what we do, we love it out of doubles and trips. And what the two ways we've done it is still we got curls on the outside, boundary slots running a speed out. Okay. So if they do bring all Hades and cover 0, here they come. We do have at least a little bit of a quick out. We can throw that. But we also have this. Our Y to the field is running what we call a peak. And so it's basically just a buzz up 2-step, and you're running to a landmark about 12 yards on top of the ball. So when we take that ball, our quarterback's basically looking for a window to throw that ball in. He's kind of reading those two backers, as we all do. So obviously if we get split, we'll hit it in the middle. And if we get somebody walling that thing up, we go right to the curl flare. And we're really making that back, try to get out to the numbers to get that separation from the curl flat player. But we have hit, that's been an explosive play for us. You'd be surprised how many times we hit that. And hey, it turns into being really good versus man.
Yeah.
Which spacing is really not good versus man. So adding the quote unquote slant, you might call it, peak as we call it, and you actually still have, you get pressure in the middle, you can throw that.
Very cool. I'm very intrigued. When he takes his couple steps and buzzes, and then his aiming point's 12 over the ball. So is he giving eyes really fast?
He's giving eyes pretty quick. Yes, sir. He is. The one thing we do, which is weird, and I got it from old college coach a long time ago because I felt like we could time up the slants better. We actually put our inside foot back.
Gotcha.
So that would be a 2-step slant for us. And so we run a 2-step slant, but we're running it on an angle of 12 yards on top of the quarterback. I can't tell you how many times we've hit that thing, increased it, and we got too high, man, just hit an explosive play off of it.
That's really unique. Let's say the ball's left hash. Where's he aligning at to be able
He's
to
going
run?
to line somewhere around, we take him probably between the middle of the goalpost to the outside of the goalpost. And for us, if we call doubles, we call it midpoint. That slots outside the hash and between the numbers, and our outside guys outside the numbers. If we go regular doubles, I like to say, because that's what regular folks do. But anyway, regular doubles, he's going to come somewhere around the outside of the goalpost, and the outside receiver is going to come to the midpoint, which is between the numbers and the hash. Now, that Y and him, they'll vary according to some concepts. Not much, but just a little bit here and there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And it does, like you said, a lot of the things that people would complain about or that they don't like about spacing, it kind of alleviates that. And you also still can hold inside backers and hook players, so you throw the curl flat outside.
So the way we've run it out of trips is out of regular trips, we kind of got it condensed down a little bit. Everybody does the same thing, except that the number 3 receiver runs a shallow, and we're really hoping he clears everything out. The only way we'd ever throw it to him is if it was just a true all 0, everybody coming from the house, we could hit the shallow coming across there. But we're really not looking for him. We hope he's kind of a decoy, clearing everything out, and then we still read it the same way. Boom, boom, boom. Y to Z to the back player.
So would the back go to the field and he would be the flat player, and the shallow becomes the weak flat?
Yep. That's what I tell him. Go to the same spot you came from.
That's awesome, because honestly, Coach, if you think about like what you're setting up when you do that, like whatever arches or old H posts like that people have talked about before, have mentioned on here, but like that's what you're getting. And you have also, you can read it out with the curl flat. That's really good.
You can read it several ways too. You can read it where you read the 2 backers. or you can just read it, or you really kind of looking for windows to throw the ball in. So if we give us the window, we're going to hit it. But the only way we're not going to get the window, the backer has to wall it up. That's the only way we're not going to get it. And that leaves one flat defender out there, and we're going to throw curl flat off him.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I've got this drawn up. I'm fired up about it. People are going to love it. That's good.
That's been a favorite. And look, I've been running that for a long time. We just kind of got away for a year. Last year, we got to about game 3, and I was like, I do not like the timing of this. And I said, we're going to go back to the peak. And Coach, week 1, it was immediately better. My quarterback said, Coach, I like this much better. And because what was happening, we're sitting there from a wider split waiting on the OTB, and which was bad coaching, by the way. But we're sitting there waiting on the OTB. So now by the time we come to the curl, the corner's driving on the curl. So the timing on it was not right. So I suggest if you're going to run the OTB, you need to kind of be around that tackle area out there, in a condensed split or something like that.
Right. I agree. Have you got into any of the doing this kind of stuff with the spacing? Have you got into any of like the escort stuff that people are doing where you've got a blocker or a guy coming
I can't tell you that.
Hey, we're good then. Hey, we can talk off air.
That's going to be some of that new stuff. That's going to be some of the new stuff. Because we do run Y corner. We do run some flood concept. We run the run and shoot flood. We call it flag concept. And, where we got the post and the flat in the corner. I like the corner instead of the bender because I like the guy working away from the flat defender.
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying? Now, we'll throw him more vertical. We'll throw him flat if we need to, but that's how we run it. All of those concepts like that, I think the escort stuff's going to be good.
It is, no doubt. That's one of the hot new things. On the peak, if he got to 12 and he doesn't have the ball, is he still going to sit and post up over the ball and move the ball behind? He's going to stay on the move. Gotcha. That's good stuff. You guys with the tempo, you're playing with this, getting all these snaps. One of the things I found, we have been at times a super high tempo team. Have you found that, well, let me pause. We'll back up. When it started with super fast tempo, I know we're both familiar with like Tony Franklin. You were going super fast tempo and they were running zone. I mean, and it was just killing people. And then people start to adjust, or maybe you've got to full zone it because it's just a mess because you're going so fast. Well, then you got RPOs. So now there's all kinds of answers. We can go super fast. We can RPO. If it's a bad look or it's muddy, we can spray the ball outside. But here's the question. So all that to say, do you feel like the tempo part of the passing game is sort of left behind a little, where you can still go super fast and throw a drop back, or you can throw a play action?
I'll just tell you right now, on every one of our top passing concept, we have their gas plays.
Gotcha.
We just one signal. Boom, boom. We can line up in the formation. We know the protection, and we're doing it. And we can do that on mesh. We can do that on white cross. We can do that on choice. And one of the neat things I think about choice that we've done different too. Now, the guys that know choice from they know the bomb concept where you got the choice in the boundary and you got the slot running it. That gave me an idea. The two ways we do a couple of different things. If we call ace means one. That means our outside receiver. And we do it with a single receiver. So I can do it with a H-back in and max protect like the old Baylor stuff, and I can get 3 receivers out. Or I can go trips. And if I get trips on any of these, the trips guy's going to clear to the other hash like we would on any kind of vertical stuff.
Yeah, right.
But what we do is the single receiver is always running choice. If I call ace, we actually have the outside guys, the number 1 receivers run 2 choice route. We call it Uno. So we got 2 Unos. And so basically what we do, if it's too high, we're going to read the boundary safety. And if he spins off of it and gives us 1 high, we're going to stay into the boundary with the 1 high. If it's too high, we're going to go to the field. So we do it that way. We do it with what we do call bomb, which is single receiver. Now the number 2 receiver, the slot receiver, is going to run choice. So we have the choice. No, number 3 is you run the clear out to the other hash. And we got the curl out there. And then last but not least, a little bit stolen from Pulaski Academy, who can really throw the football. We started out doing the same thing, but we run choice by number 3. And then we run smash. We call it smoke, but it's really a tough throw on the smash route to the field. What we changed on that is, hey, you run the choice route about 5 yards inside of the safety by number 3. The I is going to run 5 to 6 yards outside of the safety vertically. And then we're going to push it out there and run the curl on the outside.
Interesting.
If we get to 1 high, we throw in the 1-on-1 in the boundary. It's the easier throw, the shorter throw. If we get too high, we're going to try to get 2 on the safety.
Yeah, that's very good. And the way you got it packaged, you can go super fast, and you guys have a way to call it, and that's you can attack whoever you need to attack.
Yep, that's just, but they know how, gas bomb, this is not our signal, but it's literally gas bomb. We could go boom, 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 like that, and just give them 1 quick signal. They're up into it. They know what we're running, and there we go. And we can change that. One of the things we want to do better in our tempo, and this is just talking to some guys across the country, this is what they're doing too, is change the gas plays up each week. Change the release, change the routes, change the formations, but the concept is still the same for us with our run tempo. But it could be the same too. Hey, this week we may run 2x2 mesh. Next week we're going to be out of bunch. Next week it may be out of tight 2x2, whatever it is. But so we can, number one, attack them with the best formation we think's best for that particular concept, and two, give them a different look.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Now, do I want to change the whole daggum thing each week? No, but we hopefully 3 to 4 to 5 of those we can change each week. There'll be concepts we already know, but that'll be part of the game plan.
Right. And I think with the tempo part of it, one of the things that it seems like it's something you wouldn't ever discount, but I think people do, is that just how much that helps with pass rush when guys can't even get in a stance and it takes an inferior offensive line and all of a sudden you got more time to throw rather than less.
I'm going to go further than that. Running the football. There was no way in the world we could run the football against them. And I'll never forget it. Multiple times our kids come over there saying, about the end of the first quarter, said, Coach, they're getting tired. Coach, they're getting tired running football. Coach, they get tired. And sure enough, we start running the football. And then by the end of the third quarter, we're back to running the football. So we end up running the football when we need to run the football if we got the leads. It's worked for both. Yeah, the pass rush and the run the football. Because that's the way we train. That's the way we train. That's the way we practice. And I don't care what you say. If you don't do it that way, you're not ready for it.
Right. No doubt. You're a Southern head football coach, which for anybody that's not in the South, and it's a head football coach in any community is a big deal, but it's a big deal in the South. You're a head coach. You have a ton of responsibility. People know you when you go to the grocery store. It's just one of those deals. How do you kind of balance all your head coaching responsibilities and things that you have with being the play caller and basically the offensive coordinator at the same time? What are some tips for guys that are trying to do that or maybe struggling with it of how you can kind of be good at both those things?
I have a great staff. My guys have been with me. Just about every one of my guys have all been with me for a long time. Well, I think we got one guy. Our newest guy has been with me 4 years. Everybody else has been 7 or 8 or more since I've been here. So just get divvying it out on those guys. Like my defensive coordinator, I try to meet with him each week and tell him what I'm thinking, what I think we ought to do. Maybe, hey, man, they're really good. Maybe we need to play a little bit more cover 3 coach instead of, man, or something like that. And then we try to meet in the off season. I'm not a big meeting guy. I like to go to individuals and say, film last night, man, we're not squeezing and spilling at defensive end, man. We need to get that. Hey, let's try to get this. So I try to go to those guys and do that. And I'm blessed because I'm dean of students, so I can kind of float around during the day. But having good coaches and giving them responsibilities. My O-line coach has been with me for 17 years. So that's big. And we got good coaches too. Everybody on my staff's been either a coordinator in college or a high school head coach. So I'm blessed. And then I have great administration. My headmaster and my high school principal, I both coached their boys. They were both ex-football coaches.
It's rare now. Even in the South, that is now a rarity for sure.
But I got good coaches like game Fridays. I tell them, look, boys, I ain't doing nothing on Friday. This is what we got to get done. And they take good pride in getting it done and do a tremendous job for me.
Coach, that's great advice. I know people are going to take that. Obviously, if getting those guys hired is key, but delegate too. Man, it makes everything easier.
You're only as good as your staff, man. I don't care what you say. You're only as good as your staff. And again, just getting those guys and holding them accountable. We all need held accountable. My boss has to get me sometimes, but just holding everybody accountable, making sure everything gets done. But my guys do a great job. They're mature, been in it a while, and they do a good job.
Yeah. If you surround yourself with ball coaches, you're going to be all right. That's right. So, Coach, man, this is so good. We're going to be conscious of your time. You're a busy guy, busy.
Hey, I got all afternoon.
We'll save some of the time when we're off air so, man, you can talk. We will give everybody all the goods. It's that time in the show with our famous question, but headgear-wise, I know the answers, guys. Full disclosure to these questions with Coach Davis, but you don't, so you're going to hear. Headwear, what are you on a game day? Are you a hat guy, visor guy, nothing? Where are you at?
I really, if I can get away with it, I wear nothing. But if I wear anything, it's a trucker's hat.
Oh, nice. I got you.
If I wear anything, it's a trucker's hat.
Fashion conscious, too, as a veteran coach. Our last question, and there's some guys out there, Coach, they need to hear this because I know what you're going to say, but we have had everything under the sun. Your prior to a game, your pregame drink or during a game drink choice, what do you go with?
Well, I'll tell you, it's always been this. But it definitely is now. And people that don't know me, I had a transplant about 18 months ago and doing good. Lost about 60 pounds. Good Lord was good to me. But I drink water. I try to pound the water. I try to pound the water in because the one thing I can do to lose this kidney is the only kidney I got is dehydrate. So I hammer the water home.
That's good stuff. There's some guys that need to hear that out there. I need to hear that sometimes too. I try.
Look, man, I don't know if y'all know it, but everybody's trying to kill us right now with all that crap. Food and drinks, they're trying to kill us. So they love to see us in the hospital.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it. Coach, I appreciate you. This has been awesome. I know people are going to get a ton out of it. We say that with all our guests. Seriously, great job. Really appreciate you taking the time. It's the middle of the summer. Whenever this episode is airing, guys, we're right in the thick of all this summer stuff going on. Really appreciate Coach coming on.
Hey, man, appreciate you. I always love the show and definitely an honor to be on it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Coach, and best of luck to y'all. Y'all score a bunch of points at MRA and light it up out there.
All right, bud. You too. Take care.
Josh, as you said in the beginning, there's a lot of takeaways here from this conversation with Coach Davis. What were the three you focused on?
Just three things that stood out to me. Coach Davis talked about tempo in the passing game. Like, I think that's really underutilized, and the ability of when you're thinking, really fast plays. We talked about, it's not just runs or RPOs, but actually using your drop back, your quick game passes as gas plays or one word calls, and keeping the D-line kind of on its heels. If it's something your kids are comfortable with, that's a really easy, great way to take your base stuff and really give it even more. Your system gets you more calls in a game by using them as tempo calls. I thought that was great. I loved the sort of his unique version of spacing that he talked about, which is not something that I've really heard many people talk about. I think a lot of guys will like that, as he kind of coached us through how he has spacing that kind of has that man element with the peak route that's attacking on the move over the ball. I thought that was pretty unique. My favorite thing that I took, just we can apply, to programs that I'm in and a part of, is just that the scaffolding where you're getting kids that are at younger levels running your stuff. Coach Davis talked about his freshman quarterback, and how good a job he was doing, but installing that stuff at younger levels, they can really hit the ground running in your high school program. So ton of great takeaways.
Josh, again, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you. Season 3, just another outstanding list of guests, a ton of information shared. I know everybody who listened to this took a ton of notes, and that's what this is all about, being able to learn, get different perspectives, and share with each other. So again, thank you, and we'll look forward to a season 4 of the Passing Lab next year. Thank you again to Coach Herring for putting together the Passing Lab, an outstanding job every single week of the series. Remember to check out our partner, Modern Football Technology. Build smarter, coach clearer, and develop your quarterbacks rep by rep. Modern Football Technology, where quarterback development meets real data. Visit modernfootball.com to learn more. Follow all we're doing at coachandcoordinator.com. We have a ton of articles and blogs there about all of our episodes and our coaches who appear on the podcast. Follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.